Any other question?
Mr. Kesh, Paris has a question, but he doesn't have a microphone. He's
Oh,
asking,
he's silent. That's
he,
unusual for
he,
Paris.
he says, can you explain what does it mean when you said people say that Kesh Foundation creates more fear?
Um, they they have tried to explain what we do, what we are, the way we are, and they see this as a threat to their existence. So what do? They go out and create fear. In the second part of the teaching today, we'll come to it. I'll explain. Because by creating a fear in respect to the foundation, they try to preserve the present order of the abuse. You know, the time where when you say everybody will have everything and everybody will be at peace is not good for some people because they can't carry on with their abuse. I explain that what will be the consequence of not achieving a point. Those who see it as a point into opening the knowledge of the man as me creating a fear because they cannot carry on with their abuse. There's an article on the internet at the moment. Go and read it. It's amazing what it declares, how it's part of what we said, how Keshe Foundation was made to become a terrorist organization by one man, Mr. Bracanier, because he wanted to steal the technology. We didn't give it to him. He made us a terrorist that because of the power he had, he could carry on, that he could steal one day. No one has served the foundation better than Mr. Bracanier. Mr. Hans Bracanier, of the head of the European Space Agency. By being a member of the, according to what is written by on the Facebook by Mr. Lorenz, he in, I will speak about this in the second part. Parvis has brought it up, but nobody has served us better than him in his what I call stupidity of understanding, making me as a terrorist because he couldn't get hold of my foundation, the technology because he studied it. Maybe, thank you very much, Paris, for bringing it. In the second part, I said we teach you to understand. I would like to give you the history of the Keshe Foundation in the second part. How we came and how they made terrorists out of us. And now, if you're a Keshe Foundation supporter, you become a terrorist. Made by one man, nobody else. Mr. Hans Bracanier, head of the European Space Agency. He made Keshe Foundation a terrorist organization. Listen to the second part. I think I better do that, then you understand. So, by making me a terrorist, they thought I will give up and I'll give in. And they can carry on with their abuse. Nobody has served the Keshe Foundation better than Mr. Hans Bracanier, head of European Space Agency. Because the way I was going and developing was a wildfire. You do not know how I was working 15, 20 years ago. When I discovered the gravity, and the thing was, the way I was developing, it was, today I'm on the break. We are going at the speed of turtles. I was going at the speed of jumbo jet. Hans Bracanier understood that, and he wanted to keep it and hold it. He couldn't have it, he made me a terrorist. I told you, I was sitting with the American Intelligence Services a few days ago across the table, and I said, on your books, I'm a terrorist, huh? He said, Mr. Keshe. I said, I don't. He said, you know too much. I said, I love you too much. What happened? This making us, or making me a terrorist, blocking governments working with us, allowed us to set up the Keshe Foundation, allowed us to slow down that we could bring the humanity up with us. If I would have gone the way I was going and the collaboration with the governments, which I was set to go, you would have never heard my name. No one serves humanity better than Mr. Hans Bracanier. Now he's the head of European Space Agency. He was a little lawyer on the back streets of Leuven. Mr. Lorenz has written about him. And now on the internet, what is to be news, they've written all the facts about him. Go and read. The greed of the man allowed me to slow down. I had no Keshe Foundation website, there was no Keshe Foundation technology, there was no KFSSI, there would have never been any teaching if it wasn't because of Mr. Hans Brackenier. He made me a terrorist, but they couldn't find any bombs. Because he was sitting in the cabinet, he could push the Belgian police, make him a terrorist. He had a high position with the King of Belgium, that time Prince Philip. I will tell you the story of Mr. Philip, how the present King of Belgium came across the Keshe Foundation technology and how they planned to make us a terrorist. Prince Philip of Belgium had full hand in making my organization a terrorist because he came to Werhard to see it. They were in such a hurry to see it, and they sold the company in such a hurry to British government because they thought they found the secret of the flight. But I walked away with the key because they made a threat against me. And that's how we became. No, I became a terrorist because of Mr. Hans Brackenier, head of European Specialists. I have the documents, I can show it. I have his business card when he threatened to kill me if I don't give my technology with him. We got 2 business cards because Caroline was sitting next to me. He gave one to Caroline and one to me. I became a terrorist from the day I walked out of his office in Leuven. Before that, I was away to make Prince Philip, now the King Philip, King of Belgium, or the richest man controlling humanity. But it's good. I suffered. I paid heavily for this, what I was made to be a terrorist. And then they put police force, Mr. Delanois from Court of Belgium, federal police, to harass us, to attack us, continuously to pressurize us till we give. We packed up and we left for Italy. They lost it. What did they do? They killed Fabio. To threaten me, we kill you. But they tried, they wouldn't kill. I am the messenger of God. You cannot touch me. You touch Christ, not this time. But that position allowed us to become that, making me a terrorist. They kept me for 11 days in the airport. They're all afraid of this terrorist which doesn't exist. They haven't found any bombs. Because why? Mr. Hans Brackenier, being a member of the company, we know it. Now we see this on the internet, what he's done. He made me a terrorist. So you're all Keshe Foundation terrorists. Because I didn't give to Mr. Hans Brackenier. To the King Philip, present King of Belgium, came to Werhard the day I finished. We're going for development of the first space gravitational nuclear. I can show you the documents, application form filled for the Belgian government. But since 2005, 6, 11 years, I've become the gypsy of this planet, trying to stay alive in my physicality that I can teach more. But it's been good. It was one me, and one Mr. Hans Brackenier, and one King of Belgium. When they couldn't get it, the father came, you've seen the pictures on the internet, threatening. I packed up and I left. I said to the king, I go, you abdicate. A few months later, after I left Belgium, he abdicated. Now the truth is there. Go on the internet and look. It's written as unknown Queen of Belgium. Search for it, see it, and put it into press. This is how we became terrorists, and now everybody's, he's a terrorist, but we can't find any bomb. And he teaches how to make peace. Doesn't fit, does it? We're afraid of him till he's done. Sheikh Mohammed of Dubai has been fear-fed that I'm a terrorist, better don't touch, because by the writing of, they put in an Interpol. If you go in the Interpol documents, secret structure, Mehran Tawakoli Kesh is a terrorist. But they haven't found it. My terrorism is teaching science. But Mr. Hans Brackenier has made me a terrorist. But nobody knows that Mr. Hans Brackenier has got a huge criminal record. He's done this with many people. We have a case in the court of Belgium now that Mr. Hans Brackenier, Mr. Delano, now they're trying to tell me or accusing me of doing this and that by threatening all the Keshe Foundation members in Belgium. And they put their names on it. If they come and talk to them, we put them in prison, we kill them. Willie DeLeo, who's been our supporter, helping a lot of people, has been threatened to be put in prison. Again by Mr. Hans Brackenier. Again by Mr. Delano, Chief of Police of Kortrijk. I'm not going to start the second session. Let's put the second session now. This will be written in the book of history of the Foundation. You better know it from me than anybody else. Some of you know part of it, some of you don't. I was born in Iran to a fairly wealthy family. Bigger family of mine is one of the richest family in Iran, the richest family in Iran during the Shah's regime. The bigger the structure of the family. The family, the bigger family employs over 100,000 people according to the Times magazine in the United States in 1975. I've saw wealth to the extreme, and I saw abuse to the extreme in my childhood. And I said to myself, in my time, this should not happen. In my age of 15, 16, I went to England because I knew I have to change the direction of the travel in the space and the humanity. I graduated from Queen Mary College in 1981 as a nuclear physicist specialized in reactor design system control. Trained 1 or 2 every few years. Very rare to train a reactor specialist. Designed from dust to full operational electrical system and running of a nuclear power station. At that time we were told there are about 5 of us across the world. The majority of us were in Russia. I met one of my colleagues equal to me who knew from dust to full operational control, designed everything in the system. I worked for a British nuclear fuel for a short time and I walked out because I couldn't understand the injustice inside the nuclear industry. And secondly, it didn't fit my mind. I went into the world of business in 1982. I lost the first time I did a business as I did not take my business side of the family, a very layman, scientist. I lost about £250,000 in 1981-82 in my first business, but I could take it. I was a scientist. I had enough to be able to take it over time. But I went to learn the world of business because I found out I know nothing about business because I didn't want to be a nuclear physicist. Going to the business didn't fit. I spent a year to learn business, but I learned very well in the different establishment trained. I became a very wealthy man in the world of business because I learned from my mistake in the first time. In 1990s, I had offices in 5 countries, in 3 continents. I never worked, I never made anything physical, but my time was to understand by wealth I created, I could give more to people. I supported many people across the world, especially Iranian refugees. I made a tie with my mother. I said to my mom, I spread my wealth, but nobody should know it comes from me. I made the same arrangement with many people. Exactly what I do today. But I stayed a very normal man. Nobody knew what I own. but you cannot run 5 offices around the world in 3 continents with no money in the pocket and work with the government. I became a hidden multimillionaire, and it was good for me because I had 2 or 3 other friends the same way in Manchester. We knew how to work, but openly with the British government. British government was aware of all our wealth and our activities. I worked with the British Secret Service in many activities in respect to the peace in Northern Ireland. I remember many of you who know, I was walking on the pavement in the streets of Salford, Manchester, when MI6, MI5 officers walking with me on the pavement, and nearly both of us, or 2 of us, getting killed by a car, getting hit. They said to me, Mehran, you know the risk you're taking getting involved in Northern Ireland peace. I said, it's worth it, let's do it. Our job was easy. My job as an international businessman with officers was to dissipate the wealth of IRA and the priest, who was a terrorist, but he wore the clothes of the priesthood, Ian Paisley. With it, I made a lot of money for my work, for my businesses. We liquidated the IRA to nothing. We liquidated Ian Paisley's wealth to nothing. But at the same time, British government paid them a lot. It was a plan was set up. They needed an operational man to do it. I did it. I used my companies to move assets of IRA and what they call, at that time, the Union people and the Catholics and Protestants out of Belfast, out of Northern Ireland, across the world, to live with a cheap peace, and be a cheap peace. The payment part was very simple. The British monarchy, the power of the Church of England moves to Vatican, because IRA won. They were supported by Vatican. Read the independent newspaper of that time. It's explained how the strength of the monarchy was taken. It was part of the agreement. Henry VIII power is returned back to Vatican. By that time, wealth meant nothing to me. I left my first wife because of misconduct, not by me. And then I came across a woman who was actually, during my operational time, running my business, Caroline. She's my second wife. I adore her, I love her beyond imagination, but she never understood. It's a love when you fall for the beauty of a soul. In that process, we moved. I had a brain stroke because of the pressures. Carrying on through the Northern Ireland peace and my internal problems in my, what I call, private life, I had a stroke and I had to stop all my businesses for a while. But when I started working, I went back, because all the time I was traveling across the world, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on tickets. The space of air was mine to develop my technology. I used to travel most of the time just to be up there, to be able to think, to develop. I could see the problems. There are notes of mine going back to 1980, 1975, in drawing, developing, adjusting new type of space flight, new type of spaceship. I have my diaries which is full of drawing and correction. Space was a mystery, or was a mistress in my cap. My business was a wife. My science was the mistress, which was taking all my time. It was too beautiful. In around 2000, I discovered the gravity. I could see it, I could understand it. I saw where the mistake or misunderstanding was. I remember I got up, I sat in one corner and broke into tears. I've discovered it. Caroline said, what do you mean? I said, now I know how gravity is made. I have found the secret. And this is what I touch. I love Caroline so much that I realized the center of the gravity was the essence of its creation, and made Caroline the center of the creation. That's why it's called Caroline core. Then I start testing if I'm correct. I went back to Europe to my root, which was British nuclear fuel, where I worked, and I asked for nuclear material because at that time I could see the division of the cells to create the plasma could be through nuclear material. In asking for nuclear material, the British government asked me to attend a meeting in what they call military museum. It's next to, across the water from Manchester United football ground, those of you who know Manchester. They gave me a time. I went to this meeting. The meeting was such a small room. It wasn't even 2 by 2. Very, very small. But there were a few people sitting around the round table. It was like a secret meeting committee. And I walked with these 5 or 6 people in the room with chairs around the round table. And a guy stood up and said, "Hello, Mehran. We've been waiting for you for 20 years. We know you come back to us." I said, "Explain." He said, "You've been invited here because we are all experts in nuclear weapon and everything else. And we knew during the time of your student time that you were after something, and now you come and ask for it. What do you want?" I said, "I've discovered the gravity. I want to test it." He said, "This is too powerful for the common man to know." I said, "I want to test." He said, "Become part of the British military and you can work." I said, "No, I want to be independent." He said, "You want nuclear material? You have to sign an agreement with the Ministry of Defense." I said, "I have no problem, as long as my technology is used for peace." It took a few days. They drew a contract, which I signed, with the Minister of Defense of England. It was too secret to be in the hand of ministry. I have that contract in our archives. So I signed with the Minister of Defense to develop the space technology which I wanted, but they could give me the nuclear material which I wanted. I didn't want much. I just wanted the alpha source, which I could. That time, I didn't know I can get it from smoke detectors. Otherwise, I would have never gone to the British. In that process, when the British Ministry of Defense and security services start literally protecting us, I could see them everywhere. We walked around Manchester, they were breath away from you. But those days it was not concerned. I was considered to be one of the top scientists, have discovered the gravity. Now I had to prove it. I was put in the hand of what they call a handler. They do it that I could do all whatever I wanted with him through him. He invited me to attend the Farnborough Air Show, where all the military aircrafts are sold every year. 1 year is in Paris, 1 year is in Farnborough. I went to Farnborough with Caroline and with our children, because for us it was just 2 or 3 days. But they invited me during the close time, which is for the heads of states and governments to buy arms. I got to the gate and I said to the guy, said, "You don't have invitation." I said, "I have this." They said, "This is a secure region, you cannot go in." I called my handler. I said, "You tell me to come here. I'm here with my wife, and they tell me I can't go in. What is the game?" He said, "It's a mistake from us. Let us talk." They called whoever, whatever. They came and they gave me a secure pass, and I said, "I want one for my wife too. We are always together." But I was carrying my briefcase. I said, "Caroline, this briefcase has to go back to the hotel where we left our children." And she said, "Okay, I'll take it back, you go through." And I come because she had a pass. I walked and I watched the latest military aircraft being displayed. All the highest people. I saw a few world presidents and prime ministers who I knew on the press, and 1 or 2 ministers I knew personally through my work. And as I walked this length of the runway of Farnborough, watching all these fancy lunches and everything else you could imagine. All the stores with the latest weapons, how to kill man, was displayed. I came to the end of the runway, more or less at the top. As I turned up, I saw a very big building. It says Lockheed Martin. I thought, I'm here, I'll walk in and I'll tell them I've discovered the technology. I said, I walked in and the woman told me, what do you want? I said, I want to speak to someone. I've developed a technology which can work and fly beyond the speed of light. And she said, can you wait? She went away, she came back. A short man came. And the man said, it was around about 10 o'clock by that time. He said, can you come back after 12 o'clock? If you come back at 12 o'clock, we have somebody here to talk to you. I went walking, looking at more what weapons have man made to kill himself and kill the others in a way. I came back at 12 o'clock to the building. There was nobody in it. Huge. If you've been to Farnborough, Lockheed Martin building, you know what I'm talking about. It's a huge building. It's a huge, what do you call it, structure. There was nobody in. And I was wondering, maybe they're gone for lunch or whatever. And I stood, I could hear a very heavy noise coming. As I walked to the window watching, it was the F-18 demonstration, and it was pushing itself to go up vertical. It was making horrendous noise. As I was busy watching this, somebody tapped me on the shoulder. He said, Mr. Tabakuri? I said, yes. He said, do you mind coming to the other side of the window, the other side on the balcony? I said, I don't mind, but why? There were two guys. They opened their badge, MI5, MI6. I said, what have I got to do with MI5, with MI6? Because I knew them from my past work. I said, what's the problem, guys? I said, I know you a lot, we work together a lot. He said, no, this is nothing to do with that. This side where you're standing is American territory. The other side in the balcony is a British territory. We want you on the other side. I said, no problem. I walked to the other side on the balcony in front of Lockheed Martin. The guy told me, you have come here to sell British technology to the Americans. I said, what? I said, this is my technology. You British don't even have a clue what I have yet. But you're calling it yours? No way. It belongs to me. I'm Iranian. It belongs to my nation. It belongs to me. But it's here because I want to use it for peace. They wanted, I could see when I came out, there was there was nobody near. There was a huge number of police, the cars like you see in the movies, in front of Lockheed Martin. They made a barrier. And it was just me standing on the balcony. They cornered me with these two MI5s. In the discussion going on for nearly half an hour, a lot of shouting and swearing, everything you can imagine in English language could be used by me and by them. They were trying to tell me, I'm trying to sell a technology to the Americans, and I said, you have got it totally wrong, it's finished. Any cooperation with the British stops. I opened my phone and I called the handler. I said, you brought me here to trap me, to get me into prison? He said, no, this is a misunderstanding. He said, just stay there, I'm talking to the minister on the other line. The Minister of Defense who signed agreement with me, who invited me to be in that show, speaking with the head of MI5, MI6, saying this is a misunderstanding. A lot of shouting going on with the open phone, everybody shouting at each other. The MI6 said, Mr. Kesh, we made a mistake, we apologize, it has to stop. Because he said to me, just give us one guarantee, don't take this to Iran, this has been a misunderstanding, please stop. I said, I came here to Lockheed Martin to speak to them for peace, for my technology to be peaceful, because I know what it can do. He said, you can speak to Lockheed Martin, we made a mistake, this was totally a mistake. If you go to Lockheed Martin, it has a structure like this. The building is very much like this. This is the building, the door. This is the door, swing door, a wall here. This is the balcony where I stood with the MI5 and MI6, and the building is here. This is the way the building goes in. The MI5 and MI6, and by this time, Caroline walks through the Dalad. Caroline is shouting, Mehran, Mehran. I said, let her in, she's my wife. She comes in. That time, they realized the mistake, what was happening. The, all these security cars parked here, trying to arrest the man selling British security intelligence, disappeared. They took me and Caroline here in behind the curtains, and the little short man who told me to come back appeared in front of me with all the MI5, MI6 and all the American Secret Service surrounding us that nobody could see. He said to me, the short man, go home. Within 48 hours we give you a call at home, go back to Manchester. There's been a mistake, we negotiate with you with the weapon technology. He was the head of a strike weapon technology. He was a top man they had with them. The little short man who told, go back, there's nobody here. Later on, we became talking to each other a lot. And I realized he knew my background and he wanted to become a Baha'i. And in Baha'i they don't carry arms. He said, I have to leave Lockheed Martin to carry the ethos of peace. And he left after a few months. In that time, I started negotiating with Lockheed Martin for development of the program of gravity and anti-gravity. But what happened when they told me to go and live here, leave the farm row, I was so stressed, I was so angry, which I came here with such a pleasure to share knowledge. Now they did this to me. I was walking back, I said to Caroline, walking the whole length of the runway. At the end there's a big cafes, restaurants, sitting people outside. Caroline all this time trying to convince me, Mehran, don't, please don't give up, because I know when you give up you don't go anymore, you stop everything. I said, you know something, in the future somebody will come and develop this technology. I had enough. So much shouting, so much draining of energy for nearly half an hour, and I was shouting on this balcony at each other, drained me. And I'm a man of peace. Why is this? Caroline convinced me, says, okay, you take a break, you have a coffee here. When I was coming to you, I passed a Belgium stand. I speak to my government people. We live in Belgium, we have a home there. Let me talk. I said, no, I don't want to talk to no one. There was a battle with me and Caroline. I want to shout technology. I don't want to do anything at that time. I was so angry with the British government and with Lockheed Martin, what they did. To me, it didn't matter anymore. Caroline says, have a coffee. I'm going to talk to them. Just sit down, have a tea. She goes, half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever, later she comes back. She said to me, I've spoken with the Belgians, they want to talk to you. Can we walk back to the store of the Belgians? When we went back here, somewhere here, there was a big stand for Belgium in two halves. The guy said to me, can you sit down? We want to negotiate with you, but we have to have somebody here who can give us the authorization. Caroline and I, we hung around waiting a coffee or whatever, went for some time. Then the man appeared sitting on the other side and we on this side. The mediator, the guy going to him, coming back to us a few times, he said, we invite you to come to Belgium. The organization called FLAG, Flemish side of military part of the Belgium government. We used to go to Belgium. We had and were given visa to go to United States to work with NASA. The time while we were talking with the Belgians and me going back to Manchester to go to Lockheed Martin, NASA was in negotiation with us too. At that time, the head of NASA administrator organized a special visa for me. That time there was a problem between Iran and America. It was very hard, especially to get the Iranian nuclear physicists into United States. The administrator of NASA managed to secure through Washington a visa for me to go. I went to London to get the visa. I gave my passport and I got insulted so badly by the officer. He says, "You think you can go to United States with this? No way, we don't let you in. You're our biggest enemy," and a lot of rubbish. I said, "I've been told to bring this. I've been told, instructed by the administrator of NASA to bring my passport." He took it very insultingly. He says, "You come back and take it back. We never let you in." A few days later, I received a call from American government officials through NASA that your visa has been issued. Washington has given you clearance to come to United States. I went back to London from Manchester. I went to the American embassy. The same man met me. He said, "Come into this box." He was very insulting. "You, we never give visa to people like you. I don't know how Washington's cleared. If it was me, I never let you in." And he gave me the visa to go. That gave me a very bad feeling. I'm gonna have the same problem with the Americans if I go. Meanwhile, we were talking with Lockheed Martin. Because they knew we are negotiating for a visa, they were all informed of what was going on. Lockheed Martin asked me to go to Oxford in their headquarters. That time, they put a conference call with the 13 centers of Lockheed Martin to negotiate, to understand the technology that they could negotiate. After a long time, discussion with every station head asking question, I was told and I was offered a very handsome amount to give all my technology and walk away, otherwise they refuse it. I said, "My technology belongs to the world. The money you're putting on the table is less than what I'm worth." With Caroline, we were still negotiating with the Belgians. They asked us to go to Belgium, the flag, and they will look at it. We went home, we had a holiday home. You've seen the picture of it, it was our holiday home. Mr. Lorenz has put it all over the internet. We were there 3-4 weeks a year, maybe summer holidays. Going there, the flag told us there was a very big concern the first day of the meeting with flag. The guy didn't come. Caroline says, "Mehran, there is something wrong here, let's go back." She still kicks me with it. She says, "I told you don't go into that meeting with the guy from flag." We went in with a meeting which the flag set up with the professor at VUB of Belgium. I was told this professor within 7 days will assess your technology and then we take, if he says yes, we go further. It took 7 months. They kept me there every month, sending me list of information. They were building my technology with me, answering them. At that time I was very innocent. Then they issued a report in March to the Belgian government. 2 type of report. One for me, when I asked for it, one given. And what we found out later on from all the negotiation, we did all the explanation. I attended the university many times. They brought one of the top nuclear physicists called Dr. Deer. Is a beautiful nuclear physicist. She's extremely intelligent. They put like 2-3 hours interview with her. After 15 minutes, she got up, says to the professor, "He has discovered the gravity. I'm not standing here. He's a genius. I'm leaving. You have to give him the right." And that was it. And then many times, meeting many top scientists, nuclear physicists of Belgium. Then in March, when I received the paper from Mr. Professor, he says that this is feasible, but it has to be assessed because he only studied the theoretical. Within a few days, I was told by the same flag organization, which is part of the Belgian structure, that they have found a company who can physically now assess the theory which has been approved by the Professor Van Overmeer. I attended the company called Verhart. At that time, father and son owned corporation. But me being very straightforward in my business life, our word was our bond. They said we would like to understand more. So for 3 months, more or less 2-3 times a week, I went to Werhard near Antwerp. We went through every fine detail structure, the reactors, system control, everything. All the documents are available and they've been archived, registered by our notary in the courts of Belgium. And every time I went to the next meeting the next day, I wrote the minutes of what information I gave them the day before, and they signed for it. These are the information we received, is your intellectual right. After 2-3 months, when it was completed, they said, the technology is correct. We would like to build the first gravitational system. I heard one voice in the background in all our communication. I said, where does the money comes for this winding? We have somebody very influential. He controls the Belgian government. He will organize everything. They wrote an application form on the IWT, is where they get funds for development of new technologies as part of the innovation collection of the Belgian government. They fill the form in. I assess this technology should not be more than 50, 100,000. I saw a figure of 1.4 million. I said to Mr. Werhard, this is a stealing from your nation. He said, don't worry, this is how it's done. I said, I can't agree with this, but I don't want it to be this way. He said, you have to do it. We've drawn a contract. He said, you don't know the costs in the background. I said, no problem. They said, we're drawing a contract that between you and us, we develop the first gravitational space system. All those papers are part of registered with the government already with my notaries, so it can be published in the future. In giving me the contracts, I didn't know any lawyer who was scientifically knew what was on this paper, how was it, how much was it, and what it was. I called the same team in the structure of the Flemish government. I said, I need a lawyer to read this contract. They said to me, there's a man in Leuven, he's a lawyer of intellectual properties. He will do it, he knows what to do, that's his job. But don't forget, in the 3 months we were talking with the Werhard group, a lot of time was referred to this powerful man, he has everything, and they gave me, and I met the guy once passing. But what was interesting, one day I was told, you cannot come, Prince Philip is coming to Werhard. I said, with who? Says he's coming with our lawyer, Mr. Hans Brackenier. And I said, what's the reason? I said, we are presenting the technology to the prince. I said, my technology? He said, yes, because they have to see it, we need the governmental support. But they were presenting my technology to Prince Philip and Mr. Hans Brackenier there, but I could not be there. I thought, this is not very good. There is something wrong here. I went with my car watching. How come I cannot be in the technology which I'm delivering and the prince is coming to see? Then I realized there was a connection between the prince and Mr. Hans Brackenier. I watched physical touch. I saw misconduct, but I thought that's their problem. Then I was told I can see Mr. Hans Brackenier, the lawyer who's going to protect my interest. When I walked in, I said to him, I was with Caroline, we waited, his office is above, I think it's a shoe shop on the 3rd floor, or a clothing shop in Leuven. We hung around for about an hour or two because we got to Leuven very early. I was so anxious what's going to happen with this situation now. The secretary opened the door and Mr. Hans Brackenier was standing in front of me. I said, excuse me, sir, aren't you the lawyer of Werhard? He said, why? I said, isn't it illegal, Mr. Brackenier, to be a lawyer of the other side and trying to negotiate with me as you don't know nothing with me? That is a criminal offense, sir. He said, Mr. Kesh, sit down, I want to talk to you. I said, you're acting criminal because you've written the contract, now you want to negotiate with me on the contract you already written for Werhard? You can't be a lawyer on both sides. He said, you will understand, sit down. I wanted to leave. Caroline said, okay, let's sit down and see what this guy has to say. I said, I'm not staying here because he's writing his own stupid thing. I'm not a man. I've run international business for 25 years. I know this is a criminal offense. He says, sit down. He wrote 4 names or something and gave it to Caroline. He says, these organizations are going to kill your husband if he does not collaborate. I took it, threw it back at him. I said, we are leaving. We are not talking to you. You're a criminal. I walked away, and that was the end of collaboration with Verhard. In that process, I came across, when I went to Belgium now, with another gentleman, a beautiful soul, a man I have a lot of respect for. We became friends, and I caused him a lot of problem because he tried to support me till we could get this thing, because I left everything in my businesses. I had no interest in business life anymore except seeing this project through. Me and Olivier, he set up the first Keshe Foundation technology website with his brother. Beautiful family, beautiful people. And together we start looking how we can bring this technology. He says, I can see it. I've seen a UFO before and I know you have the technology. That's what it was good. We start looking how we can do what. He was on a holiday. He called me on the phone. Says, Mr. Keshe, I found out where we can find the funds. We can find the finance to be able to do it. The company is called IMAC in Leuven. We go there. They have angel funds. He came back from holiday. We went to IMAC. In going to IMAC, we came across what they called e-capital. That's the name of financial side of the IMAC. In that meeting, there were 3 people, 4 people, me and Olivier. Very long room, maybe about 6-7 meters long, I don't know how long, with about 1.5 to 2 meters wide. It was a very narrow, long, it was like a pencil and a table in the middle. We had to sit on both sides very tight. I explained my knowledge to this panel of 3 people, across 4 people across the table, because we made an appointment, we brought the technology and they had the money. Amongst these 3 was a very big man, very chubby, not chubby, but very big construction. After I explained, he got up and he started walking across the length of the room. It just drove me crazy. I said, excuse me, can you sit down? He said, do you know, sir, I was talking in the past few weeks or whatever, that somebody soon will discover the gravity, and you're in front of me and you've proven it is correct. I said, what do you mean? He said, you have discovered the gravity. I said, I know, but I have to make a system to work. He said, we can consider to finance you, but we want to understand all the technology behind it. I said, what's your name, sir? Who are you? He said, I'm Wim de Grava. I said, yes, Mr. Grava, who are you? What are you? He said, I see it, I finance it. We get the patents done because we have to put this in a patent. But before we put a patent, we want to see everything. I was very excited. I said, no problem, give me a few days. I came to Belgium with 2 or 3 suitcases of all the scientific papers to say whatever I say is correct, because there is a match for it. We had 2 tables in our house for like 10, 12 people in each room. It's a huge house in tables. And I put layers of research papers next to each other on all tables covered. And I said, these are the support. I said this happens because of this paper. I said this is because of this paper. All the research, scientific research supports it. He walked around, but I have to tell you something I missed. When we started with Mr. Olivier, he said, let's patent it. We went to a company in Belgium to give a patent. They asked for €3,500 from us, we paid for them to write a patent. Gavers, their name is. After 2-3 months, they were busy with it. They said, nobody can write a patent. This is a totally unknown technology. We can't write patents. Can we have our money back? They said no. And they said, there is no. We own 85% of the patent companies in Europe, and we haven't found anybody who can write your patent. This is very hard to write the natural phenomena of the gravity. So we were looking for somebody to write this patent that it could be put out. Mr. Wim de Grave told me, we have somebody who can write a patent. At that time, I didn't see they were seeding their own people in. He said, I'll bring it with me, he have a look, and then he will write the patents for you. There's only one man in Europe who can do this. Again, they came a few days later, there he walks, Mr. Dirk Lauressens. He goes through, we sit down, we explain to him and everything. He says, I can write a patent. So we sat down in my house, day and night, writing the first patent. We gave it to the Belgium European Patent Division, and Mr. Wim de Grave said, I pay for it. We decided, 3 of us, we pay for it from the e-capital. We don't need to use the money up, because they thought they paid for the patent, they'll have a full control. I didn't realize one thing at that time. We were told, and then we found out, Mr. Wim de Grave considers himself, and he is the unknown son of the king. He told me, and then in a confirmation I asked Mr. Lauressens, he said he says he is, but of course he knew, because they're all part of the same, he was brought in. They were good friends. We found out in very different ways the connection of Mr. Wim de Grave and Royal Family of Belgium. Now I'm working with 2 brothers, one brother in Verhart, which I got to know, and one lot now with Mr. Wim de Grave. Somehow the Royal Family splits everywhere. In that process, unknown to us, me walking out of the office of Mr. Hans Brackenier, him being officially in the office, he decided, I'm going to take revenge and I'll make Mr. Keshe a terrorist. And that's what he did. We never understood why we couldn't get anywhere. Now with the papers published, we understand Mr. Hans Brackenier, with the description of Mr. Dirk, exactly how I became a terrorist. Because don't forget, Mr. Lauressens used to be a civil servant working in the office where the patents were kept, so they knew how to write patent from what they took. In that process, we submitted the first patent, we submitted the second patent, but it was puzzling to me that Dirk doesn't see anything in reality with this, he's just taking information. And it's every time we went somewhere with this information, any meeting he became somehow disappearing. The meetings came to dust. And Caroline and I, we decided we don't work with Dirk anymore, because there is something wrong with this thing. I kept my distance for a while, in 2007, 2008. And in that process, my contact with him was through other people. Every time he found somebody to do something, Mehran, there is something here, can you come and have a look? I went to Iran. I was in Korea again through the same team as Dirk, who introduced us to, and now I know that team works with North Korea through Mr. Brackenier for a sale of arms. As we understand nowadays, the nuclear weapon technology of North Korea is coming through Mr. Hans Brackenier, as we've been told and what we read in the press. The position changed. By me going back to Iran and coming back without anybody knowing, Mr. Lauressens forced Caroline to know where I am. And Caroline wouldn't say, because we organized with the Iranians that my wife receives money openly, not through the back doors, through the banking, because I don't want to be accused of terrorism or whatever. We transferred my wages from Iran to KBC Bank of Belgium. The bank wrote to Caroline after 2 payments that he cannot receive any more money from Iran. This was all organized by Mr. Lawrence, that they could put pressure on a woman with a child in Belgium, that they could get her to talk. So he forced Caroline, you tell me where he is, I have to know where it is. So Caroline told him Mehran is in Tehran. Mehran is in Iran. He's working to develop Iranian space program. That point, the letter came from the bank. The money you're receiving is from Iran and cannot be done. So Mr. Lawrence knew now I'm in Iran. He had no clue because we had no meeting with him, we had no communication with him at that time to know we are in Iran. Don't forget, when I went in Iran, I went on crutches with Caroline to Orly, Paris, fly to Tehran on a white ticket. Not even the pilot knew I'm on the flight. I arrived in Iran, thanks to the Office of His Excellency President Ahmadinejad, greeted with the most courteous attention. They gave me every facility to develop this technology in Iran. I stayed 4.5 months. I came back. But that time, Dirk wanted to know to be there when I come back, because Caroline would have picked me up. No, I go and pick Kesh up. I will do. So he turns up in Orly, picking me up with all the reactors and everything, because he now understand, had to tell his bosses, I've got him, he's back. And then he came to me, don't forget, I arrived in October, early October. He says to me, why don't you write your technology? And I said, no problem, I'm sick, I'm sick of this game. I just come back from it. No, write. I said, I can write a book in 6 weeks. He said 6 months. I said, no, I write in 6 weeks. And I wrote it in 6 months. Because we sat every day writing and writing and writing, because the base of the book was already written. It was just to expanding knowledge more and more in it. And I found out from the time I started working with Dirk writing, I was getting very sick. I said, this is not good. Most probably I received a lot of radiation in Iran. What I didn't realize that he was giving me poison. Exactly the way he did with John in the Sensano. He was giving me poison in small dosages every day we met in the cafe. You know, this is how they killed most of their popes. And then the last day when we finished, we were going to publish the first hard copy. He said to me, walking across, he said, I'm hungry, I want to go for a burger. The cafe when we used, his house was nearly next door, a few 100 meters away. And this burger place, he said, there are a lot of stars happening in my eyes. I'm seeing a lot of stars. Me being very ignorant to these things, not understanding, he said, just have a look at the last bits. That's where he took a picture of me with the app, his Apple, before he goes to do the first print hard copy. And that day was when he had a stroke. Because he knew the book is finished, I had to be given the highest dosage to die. But somehow I walked away with it. He took his own poison. This was a mystery to me till I got poisoned second time with John. I knew what they've done. Because if the book was written and my name wasn't on it, he would have published as his own. But unfortunately, after that, he gave the first print to be done. He wouldn't go to the hospital with the stroke he had. He got the key to the company to do it, and then we had to go and pick it up, and then he was then in the hospital. I had to do everything in the background. He did whatever he could. He poisoned himself, with it most probably panicked, had a stroke. In that process, I took him out of the hospital. I nourished him, I fed him. And I saw him, he can't even feed his mouth. I said, Dirk is finished, huh? But we have the knowledge, we can do it. And I made him system. I looked after him like a brother. And he stabbed me in the back. He actually, now I understand, it was a poison for me, which he drank himself somehow by mistake. I shouldn't have been here. That picture you see with me sitting behind a computer has been published by him. That was the final picture supposed to be. In any case, he came out. We went into negotiation. with General Motor when they went bankrupt. I agreed with the German government, I agreed with General Motor to take over the Antwerp plant, to carry on keeping 13,000 jobs. We could make the first machine which could work on the plasma technology. Chancellor of Germany, she agreed to support the work with 500 million. General Electric agreed to give 500 million, plus the factory that we keep the workforce going and going. I made a big mistake, thinking the man is a friend. He was in the hospital. I said to him, Dirk, I'm not going there, I want you to come with me, that we see everything. I went with his brother, picked him up from the hospital, we went walking across and through the General Motors. And that day was everything finished. The minute he walked in, the day after, there was no more negotiation. I couldn't understand. I negotiated, I traveled across Europe. The Germans were happy with it, everything. Then we found out Mr. Lorenz has spoiled the whole contract with his contacts, with connection, to destroy that the technology doesn't come out. This became a rapid job. Every time he appeared in any negotiation, it fell through. I was invited for a second time to go back to Iran for completion of and understanding the work of the space of the Iran, space technology after 2 years. I landed in Iran. I was told you better leave. There's a life danger. You could be killed here. We want you out of here as soon as possible. I left within 7 days. Then we had the disaster in Gulf of Mexico. I took a flight. I knew I can help. I got a stop in airport in Toronto for 11 days, being told I'm going to be killed every day, shot in the head. Justice of Canadian government. They put me in the detention center every night fighting. People will see me, they take a picture or not. They put me in a kangaroo court. They said to me, if you tell the judge why you are here, when you come out, we just put a bullet in your head. Canadians know one thing, only bullet. That nation should not exist. Shame on being Canadians, whoever you are. In so many ways, that was a turning point for me. 11 days watching what they are going to do. When it's going to be the bullet. They kept me awake day and night by marching outside the room. One day the guy came to me and says, you're going. I said, where? He says, you're going back to Belgium. I said, I was going to Mexico, why should I go back? And this is what we decided, you're going back to Belgium. Tomorrow morning we pick you up, or tomorrow lunchtime, and you go back to Belgium. I said, no problem. They gave me my suitcases, everything they had. I had a huge amount of documents, everything with me. They gave me my suitcase, I packed them up, ready to go. The officer said, there's a mistake, you are never going anywhere. If you're going, we should know within 7 days. Nobody knows you're going. I called the guy, I said, what is happening? You tell me. He says, I'm coming with your extradition signed by the Prime Minister of Canada. He came, they took me to the airport, I returned back to Belgium. In coming back to Belgium, I saw Mr. Delanois work. I came in touch with Mr. Delanois because I knew him before. Now I understood. I was literally sold out by Mr. Lorenz and by Mr. Delanois, making sure that being on the terrorist list, they go through my suitcase and find whatever the technology I was carrying, which I haven't given to the Belgians, and they share it, looting it. In 11 days I was in the airport. There was a conference of 20 top world leaders, and Mrs. Clinton ordered for me to be kept in custody till the conference is over. Now she paid for the revenge of it. She crashed. The same, by hand of trying to go to Iran to negotiate peace, which I set up. Revenge of the God is very clear. I came back to Belgium and the harassment wouldn't stop. I wrote the second book, the third book, in a matter of 3 months, 4 months from each other. Published the second, published the third. And the harassment started. They came home, Mr. Delanois came home beating Caroline up. And that was it, I left. The day before the day they come, and Mr. Delanois, the police officer of Belgium, attacking Caroline, The man came up, two men came to the house, one with a hat on his head, very American hat. And he sat there. I said, it's a bit impolite to sit in the house with a hat on. He said, this is the way I sit, sir. I'm the police. I said, no problem. They wanted to know what I've done with my nuclear material. In that time, they confiscated my materials. You all know about it, the dynamo with the commotion with the Eindhoven. And then when we showed the nuclear reactors of the Iranian space technology, when Mr. Lawrence refused to leave the room if he was not handing over his camera or his telephone. I'm not leaving. Everybody else did except him. Now we know why. We showed the Iranian reactors, which I developed in Iran, with a pleasure, because when I left Iran, when I was leaving Iran, because my son was sick and Caroline would not come to Iran, President Ahmadinejad and Ayatollah Khamenei, they offered me a villa or apartment on top of a building. It's the most beautiful building in Tehran, with its own swimming pool, 21 floor up, car going to the top. They said, this is an apartment for you because we know your wife is foreign and she likes to be free here, nobody can see her. I called Caroline, I said, Caroline, I want you to come. They offered us a beautiful apartment. It's one of the most prestigious places in Iran. She said, no, I'm not coming. But I found out the pressure came, all the misconduct of the Mr. Lawrence brainwashing Caroline under pressure, that if you go to Iran, blah, blah, whatever it was. I said to the Ahmadinejad's team, I cannot, because my wife is not coming. I can't live without my wife. They came back 2 days, 3 days later, they said, okay, Ayatollah Khamenei has decided we give you the Palace of Shah in north of Tehran. Be isolated that your wife will be free. Khakasabad is known in Tehran. I called Caroline. I said, Caroline, they offered us a Palace of Shah. You'll be safe, you'll be kept in the way you like to live. You live in the palace, everything is there. She said, no, I'm not coming. The security people and the head of Ahmadinejad team at Al-Khamni says, Mr. Kash, you want us to give you the nation? We have offered you the palace of a king. We respect you that much. You're a crown, jewel in the crown of the Iran scientist. I said, I have a foreign wife. She doesn't want to come. They said, okay, we see you're always in problem with wife. You love her so much, you want to be back with her. You've given us all the knowledge we need. You can go back home, but take everything with you. I said, what do you mean? He says, all the reactors you built, take it with you. You didn't hide anything from us. We know everything, and if you have anything, we come back to you. They packed all the nuclear reactors we built in Iran in boxes, all packed perfectly. No nation does this. When I came back to Orly, there were all the reactors with me, and that's what Mr. Lawrence had to report to his bosses. Now we realize he was an agent. He could not see what was in reactors completely, and in that presentation on 3rd of December 2011, we were showing it. He wanted to give pictures to his bosses. What it was not apparent to him. He saw one of the reactors, but not the flying system backup. None of the flight people up to now, even Arman, have understood what he has to do to fly. In that system was a flight system. I showed it. It's in front of people, they still don't see it, even today. On the 3rd of December, when they stopped our presentation on 26th of November, I said, we're going to show the power of this technology now that you disgraced us. You tried to disgrace us last week, but not showing the flight system. But I didn't know at that time that they, with the help of the police, made this commotion. They blocked and they sealed my nuclear materials in my office. I was a criminal carrying nuclear material, but they left it in my lab and locked it to embarrass me in Eindhoven. And I said, we show the power of the technology soon, on the 3rd of December. On the 4th of December, Iranian government captured the most advanced American airplane to show, shame on you, we are more advanced. We know now that craft, you can buy it for less than a few $1,000s from Iranians. They replicated it. Then every time we came to work, to make something, to negotiate something, everything fell apart. 10 years we couldn't do anything in Italy, in Belgium. Even when I opened the Nino Center, I kept it away from him because I knew he'd destroy it. And when I invited the 3 people who were there as director of him and Olivier and another, the notary, after that my problem started getting bigger because now he wanted to be part of it. You've seen him giving a lecture in there. Now he had to destroy us. We received all sorts of threats. Mr. Delanois forever threatening us. I have received many threats from Mr. Delanois being killed. He's not a police officer, he's a murderer. And then my car got blown up with my sister in it. Then I was told by John, who came later on to work, to be a student in the Sensano, he said, they blow the car up, when you pull up on the hard shoulder, they come and put a bullet in it. But my car carried on, so they couldn't put a bullet in my head. I asked the factory where I took it for service, Mercedes, can I have the part? They said, no, it's disappeared, we don't know where it is. So we knew Mr. Delano has taken the piece. Then we had a high chase, car chase on the Antwerp road towards Holland. We were going on a holiday. Again, guns being thrown out of the car when we got them and the police arrested them. The people just disappear. Mr. Delano disappears anything because Mr. Delano works with Mr. Hans Brackenier and they have a boss, now the King of Belgium, Mr. Philip. Then, after that incident, as I was writing the 4th book, in the mountains of Belgium, you've seen the pictures, out of nowhere appears the king. The Queen asked me, Mr. Keshe, can we talk to you? The king would like to speak with you. I said, I'm a simple man. He says, we know you, can we talk? We talked, having coffee about an hour and a half. It was clear it was intimidation talk. He said to me to leave my country. I said, I leave, you abdicate. And it happened exactly as I said. Then they came to the house, 6, 7 of them, with Mr. Delanois. This is the day that the Hatman appeared in my house to kill me. The Hatman, I spoke with my security people, they said he's a hitman, he's come to get rid of his own fear. And they want to make it an accident. And I just happened to be out, I wasn't expecting him the next day. I happened to be out in the lab where Wim de Grauwe introduced me to do some more development research. Caroline on the phone shouting, Mehran are in. And I drove back home with the fear that Caroline will be dead. I'll find the body. Delano will shoot it. But their aim was to shoot me, not Caroline. Then in that process, as you know, when they confiscated my nuclear material in the box, they kept it in. A criminal is given his own tool of crime to look after. This is how funny it is. They find nuclear material in my house, they lock it in my lab and they said to look after it, which never happened. So it was a setup, new because a setup. They put a committee for me to attend that I can hold nuclear materials or whatever. And the guy, the head of this, what I call group or judge of the this committee meeting, he said to me, Mr. Keshe, leave Belgium. There are many countries, he said, Belgium. I said, we live here. He said, this is not your home, leave. We make you to leave. And they came to harass us and treatment. And when Caroline got beaten up, I said to Caroline, it's time to go. We packed 3 suitcases, we left for Italy. We thought we find sanctuary in Italy. But we found out we actually moved to Italy where there is a nest of the Queen of Belgium, she's Italian. And then the whole commotion of poisoning again started. They poisoned me, they poisoned my son, they poisoned Caroline to kill. I was bleeding, they couldn't understand how blood appears in my urine. Now we know it's a side of poisoning. Mr. John disappeared. All these are on the file. And now we know why. Mr. Hans Brackenier has made a terrorist out of me, but cannot show where is my terrorist tools. I teach peace, and they're trying to say, how can a man teach peace when he's a terrorist? Or he's doing something underneath. The only thing I'm doing underneath is to give from my soul that you elevate. I ask for the arrest of Mr. Hans Brackenier and Mr. Lorenz for attempt of murder and Mr. Delanois. I take this to the world. If you are a Keshe Foundation supporters, put this across the world. You all became terrorists because I stood for shared knowledge and peace. Mr. Hans Brackenier made a terrorist out of me. Now we know. Mr. Lawrence has written. That's how I became a terrorist. That's why the Keshe Foundation is not getting support internationally, because the first thing they open up is a terrorist. This has to be cleaned up. It will clean up. Now we understand from what is on the press, the two lovers have planned a lot. Mr. Brackenier, make this public. You're a murderer. You have attempted my murder. You are a criminal. Mr. Hans Brackenier, head of European Space Agency, I have documents to show you are and you planned to make me a terrorist and to murder me. I take you to European Court of Justice, to United Nations from today. I have no fear. You are the most piece of shit God ever created, Mr. Hans Brackenier. How many scientists have you killed? We know many. Prince Philip of Belgium, you are not a king if you stand next to a murderer. You have to make your position very clear. Your Excellency, the King of Belgium. Your house is very high. You attempted murder of a child, my son, me and my wife. These are not allegations. You tell me on your diaries the date of your visit to Werhard. You are a prince. Your visits are recorded. You show me which day you came to Werhard with Mr. Hans Brackenier with you. Unless you can clean it. If you're a correct king, put Mr. Hans Brackenier judgment the same as Delanois. Mr. Lawrence has written how it's done. Please give this to all the news agencies. I have no problem. I'm not accusing. I'm telling the world. Because now it's in the news. Mr. Hans Brackenier has planned my murder, my wife's murder, and my child to get access to plasma technology, which you all freely enjoying. And now he has joined the Illuminatis by threatening us, by false documentation, by false research papers breaking into the Keshe Foundation. That's why we withdrew all this cancer research papers which was shown through Tokyo. That's why we sent an email to all our supporters. Went through the eye sample test which we did. They sent materials too that we returned, we supported, we replaced them, and were done by us directly. We don't rely. Because they went and they threatened the man who supported us with Fukushima to kill his child and his children, and then make it as a setup that they set us up. That's why we stick to the cancer research, but we have withdrawn all the papers from Tokyo. But on the other hand, two governments have set up parallel research which we are doing ourselves independently with collaboration of 3 professors. To Mr. Hans Brackenier, you are a murderer. Mr. Hans Brackenier, you have ordered my death, my execution by Mr. Delanois. The case in the court of Belgium has to be heard. We have already written to the ambassador of the Belgium, but they are hiding. We ask for protection for my life and my child and my wife from United Nations. Because they will kill us. The plan is, the new plan is to execute in any shape or form. If I die, King of Belgium is responsible. Mr. Philip, you're not a king. You're a piece of God knows what. You allow others to carry murders in your kingdom. That's why it should be the end of kingship. A king protects his people, not kill his people. Mr. Hans Brackenier, I make a call to you directly, me to court. Not for a slander, for attempted murder. I will call the European Space Agency this week and I ask for your resignation as a murderer. We put so much pressure on you till you put yourself forward. The same with Mr. Delanois. You are a murderer, Mr. Hans Brackenier, head of European Space Agency. You have murdered many, pressurized. Now when I read the papers published in what is to be news, what is before news, it makes it very clear. You are nothing but a piece of shit. Not a man, a homosexual, a gay who finds through the bed of other men his position. Challenge me. I'll meet you in the court. Nobody can be the same. I challenge Mr. Clever Man, who's supposed to be the man of gravity. He disappeared because he hasn't challenged us. We send him a letter that you're nothing but a thief, stealing from people. We all know who it is. He's on a wheelchair sitting in England waiting to die. I'm not angry. My anger is we could achieve peace. We could have achieved the share of knowledge with you in a very easy way. Why should I pay and my family pay for a man who's a murderer? Mr. Hans Brackenier, you have a criminal record. I was told in Flemish office when I was there by the head of Flemish government. He is a criminal. We don't know how he's cleaning all his script. Mr. Hans Brackenier, Mr. Delanois, police of Belgium, take me to international court or send me another patch to kill me. But now the truth is out. I've never make an accusation. I expect to court. Take me to court and show me you never know me, you never met me, you never threatened me, you never been the internal lawyer for IMEC, internal lawyer for Warehouse, internal lawyer for every other agency that you could get your hand on, including of the Belgium nuclear industry. Your internal knowledge or connection and the threat you made to everyone has made you a very powerful man. But now you're diminished, you're demolished. You're a terrorist and you make others terrorists. Those in the Illuminatis who thought that they're going to reveal that they sent powder to the Keshe Foundation supporters as what we're testing, we have already informed our people in writing, and most of them who received it, they supported, they knew what it is, what you've done, and the same with others. We have withdrawn the Tokyo trials because we have realized there is partially friction and everything else. I was with American Security Services 2 days ago. Your people, Illuminatis, who you sent trying to destroy us, his details, all his communication is in hand of FBI and CIA. Your bank account in America, you asked for a ransom, has been opened. The bank account for ransom in Tokyo has been given to the Japanese security services and it's in their hand. You made the threat, you're going to make video, say everything was fake. Thank you very much. We informed all our people in advance that this is Illuminatis trying to discredit the foundation. But the beauty is, we already knew and we already started a new research and development for proof of all the clinical trials by 2 different governments, which your threat is not there. You asked for 38,000 euro to be paid in Bank of America by Friday, otherwise you're going to make videos. We already spoken with Bank of America and FBI. Please look after your account. You told us to pay 38,000 by Friday in Japan, where we paid you for you and your family to live and have a mortgage. We thought you're researchers. The bank has already been informed. Please contact the Foreign Office of Japan. They are having you on the run. Please go to your bank. There will be no money in there 38,000 tomorrow. Make as many videos as you like, because we realize, as you said in your communication, you work for an Italian group, which is part of the Queen of Belgium's operation. Very powerful group, as is in yours. It's very interesting. I'm a very silent man, but I talk very direct. The reason is to ask you something. You listen to the life history of the Keshe Foundation, and you are all part of it. I've asked my team to make a stand. The Illuminatis, the family of the King of Belgium, have asked us as a Keshe Foundation to pay 38,000 United States bank accounts and to a Japanese bank account where we supported, we thought we paying mortgage of the gentleman and his lifestyle that he could do research for us. Now they say is the evidence you're paying us to make a report. We didn't. We work very clearly and company. We have received a extortion request by what we see. He says he's a Illuminati. All the things has been given to the American government security. They downloaded the phone 2 days ago, and it's been given to the Japanese security too. So what we want to ask you, I told you, you have to learn from me being correct. We are opening a poll.
Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
Just before you do that, the Facebook is about to go off, so I'm just going to restart it here. Can you just hold on one moment while I restart it?
No problem. Tell me when you want me to back on. We wait till the Facebook has a 4-hour limit, and we are reaching the 4 hours. When you started, please tell me, Vince, we carry on.
Okay, you will.
Is it done? Please do not speak anywhere in the back. Make all the phones switched off, please.
It's not done yet. Just a moment, please.
I'm waiting. It's for those of you who listen on other channels. Now you understand the history of where you are. If we stand weak, they will push. We stood very strong.
I'm going again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I thank you all Keshe Foundation supporters worldwide. You have to learn. If we give up this time to Illuminatis, we give up totally. They'll dictate to us. I'm going to open up and read it to you, what they've said in their communication. They say we are Illuminatis. We are the most powerful Italian group. And their job is to end Keshe Foundation. That's in their writing. We're going to publish these that you, and then you understand what has been going on in the background. The Queen of the ex-Queen of Belgium, the whole structure of the Italian mafia organization, as they call it, has been in operation to discredit the foundation. We read all their communication. And what is very interesting for us is that we want to ask you something. I'm going to read it to you. This is the last communication from this group. They say, they asked us, this is our last communication. We will start debunking on next Monday, unless we observe funds in the bank account by Friday of this week, which is tomorrow. Are we going, as a Keshe Foundation people, pay money to mafias, pay Illuminatis? It says, depending on your stance regarding our payment, we may have to reveal that email account provided, that everything has been fake. We set you up to destroy you, to destroy the Keshe Foundation. It says they'll be done on Monday, unless otherwise we are received by then. And after a series of YouTube videos will start to appear saying that I was just a paid con artist. But what is interesting in part of their work is that we all seen the guy. Know the guy. The guy infiltrated, they came into the Keshe Foundation. He says, please think and decide if your organization can survive from this, which is when we make the videos to say everything is fake. If you trust yourself, then you go. Option 1, they gave us 2 options. Make a video and destroy us, or we pay 68,000 euro ransom. All the copy of the conversation has been given to the Japanese government officials and the CIA and FBI in their embassies. So what we are telling you is, officially Keshe Foundation has received a ransom note from the Illuminatis. They say they are Illuminatis, this is the money they want, and they're asking for the ransom to be paid by tomorrow. What I want to ask you, as a follower of the Keshe Foundation, is the following. We're putting voting right on the screen. Can you please put that on the screen, please? Those of you who can vote. Stanley, can you put it up, please? You have to decide. Keshe Foundation supporters worldwide, wherever you are, you can vote. Is Keshe Foundation and supporters of Keshe Foundation are going to give money or pay ransom to Illuminatis, to Mr. Hans Braconier, to the Kim, and to Mr. Delanois? They have asked us to pay by this Friday. That's tomorrow. In the bank account number, American Bank 0046371897885. Swift code OF AUS 6S. This is Bank of America. Are we going to pay the ransom 34,000 by Friday? Those who say no, tell us no. 34,000 to be paid. This is the second question. Is the Keshe Foundation, as you members, are we going to pay 34,000 to Shenzi Bank in the account of the number they have given us for a ransom? Is Keshe Foundation going to pay ransom to stay? It says, dear Mr. Keshe, as we have discussed, there shall be no further issue regarding this issue. However, you will need to reimburse us. They've already been paid over nearly 100,000 for us to support it. We would like to know, are we as Keshe Foundation receive life threat and back off and run? Or as they say, they are Illuminatis and they want to see the end of Keshe Foundation. Are we going to pay to Illuminatis? They say they are Illuminatis and they've been 3 years setting us up. So my question to the Keshe Foundation followers is, do we pay ransom to Illuminatis, to Hans Braconier, that they can make a video and embarrass? They gave us false papers and we've taken everything else because it was easy for what they did for us to do it. He says, if you pay us 15,000 a month, then we can carry on with the same scam. We never get involved in a scam. And the funny thing is, understand if the Keshe Foundation is going to work with the Illuminatis. We have spoken with the intermediary group of TEPCO. They say the gentleman used to work for them with TEPCO. So we knew the man was exactly what it says, TEPCO operation. But what is in criminal now, they have copied letterheads and everything of the banks. And the Japanese government and TEPCO are furious how these people have used their name, forged, and now they ask for a ransom. I have no problem. If you, followers of Keshe Foundation, tell me to pay the ransom, we pay. The full text will be published on the Keshe Foundation website. Everything will be saved. What is interesting is that how much do they see us as a threat? I tell you how much they see us as a threat. It's the old order. What they say, it says, oh, your decision on Monday, which is next Monday. When I check bank accounts, 68K or 50,000 K per month. It says, live in the moment, not in the future or in the past. So, I want to ask Keshe Foundation supporters, are we going to pay ransom to minorities? Is Keshe Foundation so scared of its discovery for peace for man that we have to pay ransom to Illuminatis? Or do we stand for them to videos and make a joke with it? And we stand. We preempted them. We informed everybody who was involved everywhere that we're replacing whatever, and everything we did was done on a good faith. People we thought we know, but in fact, it was Illuminatis have set themselves up as an embarrassment for their agents. This is an embarrassment what they thought. And what is very interesting, I read you the line of communication from 3/16 of last Tuesday. I was forced to feed you, otherwise my family will be killed. I am sorry. All others, all the papers are real. All the scientific papers 1 and 2 are real, because we kept on asking him. I said, is the toxicity correct? He says yes. I said, is the cancer paper 2 correct? He says yes. And then it says the third paper, exception of the photos of the mice, the results are correct. We are not taking it. One person says pay them. So you are Illuminatis, thank you very much. Please, we want to know who he is. Now, it says, I have too much pressure in my life and 2 options, to stay alive and protect my family. It says, I will post 2 posts, a video on YouTube saying that TEPCO results were fake and were fake. So, but the interesting thing is, or it says, I will disappear forever and cause no further issues to you, but I need some money to do so. And then he says he wants to open an Italian restaurant in Los Angeles. That's why we spoke with the Americans. They're waiting for you to open your restaurant. And then it says he's an actor. He says his wish is this. And then he says, I work for a powerful group in Italy. They are related to Illuminatis. And then that's where everything came in. He says there is nothing wrong. And it goes on. They want us to be, says, for the last hours, I prepare a video and I confess everything as fake. And this will give a big dent to your organization. Normally, I have no emotion in my assignment. And then it says, I feel like I have to retire. I want to disappear. It says both options. 1 was for them to make a video to discredit us, or 2 to pay €68,000 ransom. He says, I take option 2 if I was you. And then it goes on, we can read. So I get 98% except 1 person who must be Illuminatis to pay ransom to know who it is. I'll read it for you more. We'll publish this on the Keshe Foundation website. It is very interesting what it does. But at the end of it, what the reason they give us is very, very interesting. It shows who's behind this. The beauty of it is this. They say our technology is fake and they want to stop it. But interesting enough, in another part of Ching, for him to confess what's going on and what has been, is that he says, I have to read it for you that you can understand fully. The communication says in essence that the technology is too dangerous. It allows too many to survive. And so it means they've tested it, they know. He says our option and what we want is to keep the world population to 500 million. With your technology, there'll be too many people and they cannot live, so many. I said there is an option, we open the space. No, we want 500 million to survive. So if our technology is wrong, why do they see it as allowing to man to exist? So there is nothing wrong with the technology. These are how they see themselves. And this is very interesting for us, is that if our technology was wrong. Why do they want to discredit it? Why do they want to create it? And if it's so wrong, why do they have a worry that the what do you call, the radiation will increase so much that this planet cannot hold? This means the technology is 100% correct. This means that they have the fear that now that we develop such a perfect technology, human race will go into space and they lose. So Illuminatis, or the head of Illuminatis, the guy who says pay us, it says, I read it to you. This is the exact word. I got to bring it that you can read it. It says, I read it back to forth. It says, we did this not for money. I said to him, he says, I said, what is your last donation? He says, I will let you know this week, although I prefer option 2. I may not be able to allow to do so. I said, what does it mean? It's to discuss this point with my team. I said, and what does that mean? He says, we did this not for money. I said, for what then? To destroy your organization. I said, why? We help people. He says, sometimes helping people is dangerous. I said, so what? So what are you doing? He says, things need to be in place. I said, like what? He says, order from destruction. I said, who's destroying? He says, new world order. I said, we all make it a better place. He says, we are. I says, so where are we going? He says, we too are different. I said, I want to build a better future. He says, we too, our way are different. I said, which way different? He says, world population is too much. Need to reduce to 500 million. I said, is this that the GAN save lives and works to? He said, read Malthus. I said, and you know this? What is Malthus? It says, in the bacterial community, if you constantly give food to bacteria, they reproduce, no space to move then, and all die. This is Malthus' theorem. With your way, we will all die, which it saves life, will be billions of us. He said, with our way, some of us will survive. This is Illuminati's way of trying to kill, if you understand. I went and I checked, what is this Malthus? It says population when unchecked goes to doubling itself 25 years, or increase in a geometric ratio. Anyway, at the end it says there'll be no food. But this is on the old assumption that the food will be scarce. With the gas there is no scarcity. And I explained that. So I said, so with this technology, every being is given a chance to live. So between your way and you must compromise, compromise of a space to travel to. Then this theory does not hold. Universe is too big and can accommodate all men. This is the beauty of the new knowledge. He said, we start dealing with you thinking your claims are real. I said, they are real. And then the guy debunks himself. What we have received from him, his last communication this morning, he says, I have no money and I will seriously blow this off. I'm desperate and nothing to lose anymore. Because now the mafias, the Illuminatis, have refused to pay him too. He says, reminder, the fines have not arrived. This is our last communication. We start debunking on Monday. But we already debunked you, sir. We have already debunked you. Because we have released everything is known. You're in hand of the FBI and CIA. We had a in-depth meeting. This is one of the pleasures of my past life work. I work with the security people like brothers. And they understand when I make a point. When I told them about Alan Sterling, you've seen what happened. Now see what happens to this guy. Please write, these are the bank details they've given us, we have, and they want us to pay it. And this is very clear. That's why we knew what's going on in the background, and a lot of you asked us if we can publish the blueprint of research 1 and 2 and 3. We have it, we will not publish it. We have come to an agreement with a governmental organization with 3 professors in 2 different countries to replicate the technology. We know the technology from injection and powder is 100% non-toxic from other research, but now they want to make it as it is. What is interesting is we have received this threat. We discussed it in details with the American intelligence services, and we need to understand that are we going to pay ransom to Illuminatis? Our Keshe Foundation is strong, one of the leading organizations in the world. It stands against Mr. Hans Brackenier, Mr. Lorenz, the King of Belgium, the Illuminatis, as they say who they are. We are not cut fake. This is all in black and white. I can put a camera and you can see all of it. I can open the cameras and you see line by line. But what we do, we publish this as a hard copy that it can be used in the court of law. In so many ways, now it shows we are so correct that we have made one of the most oldest establishments in hijacking, kidnapping, murder, extortion, which is the Illuminatis, to come openly public. And they do not know what I carry in me. Keshe Foundation, the way I've teach and the way I've set it up is so solid that all of us stand with our lives to change the course of humanity. It needs a lot of trust in yourself to release such a way I'm doing now. It comes out of confidence and not out of fear. It comes out of knowing what I do is correct for humanity. That is made the oldest establishment, the Illuminatis, where the origin actually comes from Iran, are now seeing us as a threat because they cannot do. I have a message for you people at the Illuminatis. Come and sit down and let's talk the new way. But this time every man has to be free. I don't reject you. I embrace you as brothers, that through it we find peace. Through it you change your ways to our. Now we open the space and with it we find peace for humanity. In the writings you've done to me, which will be published, it shows you know the technology is so 100% correct. It says, we did this not for money, but to destroy your organization. So, I want to know if the Keshe Foundation is going to be destroyed by this, what I call intimidation, by this ransom. They're asking us, we are not paying. You make us make. And we have already written to all our people that they're going to receive an email from you. They're all waiting, and we pass it on to Interpol. The more you send to us, the more we'll have for you to spend a good time in a very nice places in Tokyo or in. We have to understand. The Bank of America, just 1 second please. The Bank of America, in the name of Mr. Cansul, C-A-N-S-U-N-A-L, account number 004637189787. We have spoken to the bank officers. The account used for Mr. Cansul is cansunal@yahoo.com. Write to him and tell him we don't pay a ransom. Keshe Foundation, collectively, 99% on the international board has accepted that we do not pay ransom. Even though you're the head of TEPCO with Ms. Honda, and they already know. He has given the name of his wife, Mr. Mario Sicko, M-A-Y-U-R-I-S-E-K-O. Bank account number 005456 Bank of Tokyo, Mitsubishi, UFC. We give you his home number too. Is Tokyo. Mishutoko Sakamachi. Nihitokyo. And then Sakaemachi 1-1-28-408. Telephone number. You can call the wife 0081 90 611 510066. You tell Mr. Council we are not paying a ransom. The other ransom, 38,000, is to be paid to Bank of Shinzei, SHINSEI, Bank. Is called, the account number for it, this is where we thought we pay his mortgage, is account number 0384425. And this is where we thought we are helping a man without money and home. And ways he has produced so many fake letters through help of the Illuminatis that to let us to believe whatever they did is correct, but they didn't know that we are working in the background and we could see a lot of things. The bank they want for us to send money to is, as I said, Shinzei Bank, account number 5300384425. The other one I gave you, which was 00384425, was for his mortgage. For the house, we thought we keep the man and his wife a job with TEPCO. And his private bank account, he wants us, you can write to the bank, is 5300384425, SWIFT number LTCBJBJT. That's J for juice. And so I get a result from you. Thank you for your trust in the foundation. 99%, 139 of you voted. We do not pay ransom to Mr. Cancel and the Illuminatis. I told you we become too powerful because, as they say, their fear is they want to destroy us. We have spoken with the Messe Shoki Co. Messe Shoki was the intermediary between Keshe Foundation and TEPCO. They have confirmed Mr. Cancel used to work for them, and he was in it too. We have spoken with TEPCO. TEPCO confirms our work, that what they were doing was, and they closed the section off after the revealing that we work with TEPCO. We have spoken in past 4 or 5 days with side Messai Shoki in Tokyo. They confirm, yes, he is correct. Mr. Cancel has been there, but what we don't understand and what is his problem is how they changed side after getting sacked from the company for revealing working for TEPCO. So now we see we are staying very open. We are not paying the ransom. Thank you very much. I knew by bringing this to you, I get the answer that we have a full support from you. Illuminati, Mr. Hans Brackenier, King of Belgium, Mr. Philip, with your mother Italian. We are not paying you the ransoms. My foundation has decided we stand correct, and we will not pay the ransom. Sorry, you will not see anything in the bank. Please make this viral, go on the internet and put it on. We release all the copies of the communication on the internet as extortion by Illuminatis. Must has been the strength of the foundation. Your devotion to serve humanity is the strength of the foundation. We've seen how much for past months, while it is in Japan, pressure were trying to force different ways. On the other hand, their collaborator, Mr. Ransom, was forcing on the internet. You have no more credibility. On the other hand, we've seen the police force and judiciary work in making a criminal out of us. They said by summer of this year there'll be no Keshe Foundation. They wipe it out of the internet. Now I take it to them. Mr. Hans Brackenier, issue me a warrant for a slander. I request the King Philip, issue me a warrant for a slander. I'm not a terrorist. You have terrorized the whole world. You have stopped the technology development because of your relationship, as we read in this text. He brought you to work hard to see what a lover gives to another as a gift. This technology belongs to humanity. Those of you who want to know what it is and pass it around the world, just go to a simple place. It's on the internet. The title is go before it's news.com and write the unknown Queen of Belgium and the Vatican. This is an article which is published on the news on the internet, and at the bottom of it, my name, my documents from Mr. Lauressens has appeared. It reveals a lot. We do not stand ransom. We do not stand blackmail. We do not stand that you think 500 million should be good. We think 7 point whatever billion, and every life which is created now, this second, is precious. And we save it, preserve it, and we respect it. We have the technology, and if this is your fear that now with this technology it'll be too many like bacteria, you are the bacteria of the life of the man. Pack up and leave. We are here to serve as Keshe Foundation. And as long as I'm alive, and I thank my wife next to me, we serve humanity. Like every other one of you. We all have done this. We all do this for the love of what we have for each other. And we have found a solution. We have found such a solution that the Illuminatis have spent 3 years trying to discredit. Now with Mr. Lorite and the rest. My wish and my prayer for you, Dirk, is you find peace with your soul. I cannot hate you as enemy. Nobody has served the foundation better than you in spreading knowledge, in writing it. I thank Mr. Hans Brackenier in allowing, by stopping it, slowing it down, that so many other people are. But now it's for you lot to be stopped, and we stop you. Please send a copy of this, which is track record, separately to the European Space Agency, to Mr. Hans Brackenier, to the any. In what you believe, in what you do as a Keshe Foundation, as we are here to change, has been threatened by ransom, by Illuminatis. Now they have to answer. We open our doors. There were some Illuminatis teaching, we have closed their accounts as of yesterday. A lot of work has been going in the background in silence with us in different ways, diplomatic, political, to make sure that we stay on course. I have no fear. My only biggest fear was I would not be able to share my knowledge. And in so many ways I have managed to do so. I thank you all for being there. I team being from every single one of them. Caroline, women in our rank, Ella, Sandy, many others, Vince, Stanley, Rick, everybody, we all stood for one thing, and we stand more, the correctness, that we can serve humanity. We have received the first open ransom and we shared it. People do it in the committees and in the back room, how we're going to handle the ransom. You are my committee on the internet. You decided, not me. Are we going to pay the ransom to Illuminatis, to Mr. Lorenz and his team, and to Mr. Hans Breckennier, which is part of the team, to King of Belgium? What I don't understand is what is €6 would do to the pocket of a king and the Illuminatis. I tell you what is to. If I would have paid in silence, they would have said, you see, he paid to keep it, that is hidden, that we did that, and then there would have been something else. This time, we don't pay, we are free men. The biggest calculation that they can bring us down has become their downfall. Now Illuminatis officially have written that they have threatened Keshe Foundation. It's in black and white. And sir, yeah, Secret Service, CIA, FBI, I had a beautiful time with them in the embassy. I thank the officers of the American Security Services. I always had a good collaboration and cooperation with them. I thank the security officers of Japanese embassy who took all the information. You will receive me, and if you are still free, they buy your freedom, or you manage to be somewhere, please inform the security services, FBI, that this account number has asked for a ransom. We put all these pages on the internet, read it, distribute it, and write to Council said, we are not paying the ransom, supporters of Keshe Foundation. They had the list of all the people who received the powder. We already informed our people. They all know that Illuminatis played the game. But this time they lost, because the feedback we have from them is, to see now the placebo is not working, the real one does, because we had the placebo. You actually send the placebo that we know how our people feel and how they feel again. They just send a simple dietary powder instead of what they said they will send the GANs to discredit. It's no problem. Is there any comment from the Keshe Foundation how we see this? Are we paying now, or do you want to announce anything, or you want to say anything? Is this the correct way to stand to Illuminatis and to the Rothschilds and to the... There should be no king in Belgium after what we've seen. They're openly as asking for ransom. I'll leave the floor to you if you want to make any comment.
Mr. Keshe, the guy was talking about the cancer processing. He's the one?
Yes.
Oh,
it's all correct. All the cancer results are all correct. They just played the last page slightly different. Don't forget, we have results from non-toxicity from other directions and injections, which we are replicating it for a second and a third time. This is, I've showed and I discussed this with the government officials, and it's going to be done this way, that governments are going to supervise all the... Because there was a flaw in it, is that as Keshe Foundations, we paid for the research. So what they said, like the other pharmaceutical people do, you could influence the result. So we already have started the process. It's got nothing, had nothing to do with what we were doing in the background with other things. The CO2 is totally non-toxic, absolutely non-toxic. And it does have effect on the cancer. It's just that they created a lot of things from other papers to, but they realized we caught them too early in the process. That's why, if you remember, in this last week Thursday, I did not speak anything about the cancer process deliberately, because legal what you call it, investigation was going on, that to open the what it was represented, the way it's represented. The Keshe Foundation websites have been cleaned up, if you go back, of all the 3 papers, till our new trials confirm the same, and we put the same papers back up again as it comes from the laboratories. This shows how much the media is trying to discredit. They have forged the email of TEPCO and offices of TEPCO, which is a criminal offense. They have forged documents of the university, which is a criminal offense, using name and office position. It's interesting, as I read you, he says they have threatened to kill me and my wife and my family. This is what we saw with Alex. This is what we saw with many Keshe Foundation supporters. It took me 2 months to negotiate to bring Alex back into Keshe Foundation. I adore the guy. The same thing with other scientists who received threats, like Peter. These are Illuminatis now. For the first time, they open their hand in black and white. They made a threat to me, and like many of you backed off, and they're going to do something with my family, I didn't back off, because I'm correct. I have no fear.
Mr. Keshe, I think they're stupid because, as you know, and I mean, I know and you know, that doctors all over the world, they already, for the past 3-4 years, they issue diagnosis and treating so many patients on so many levels. I mean, they just don't understand.
Yes, but they had to show who they are.
Yeah, they're really stupid, I guess. You know, that's all I can say.
But we brought it on the table. That was one of the reasons we discuss it this way. If they make it connected, we know who they are. If they try to make for more ransom, we see who they are. We're not paying the ransom. Please write to kansonel@yahoo.com and tell him we are not paying your ransom, Keshe Foundation. The way fake email of the chancellor of the university, write back on the same chancellor email, you're fake, we are not paying the ransom. All these emails connect back to Illuminati's head office in Italy. Just write to them, like you wrote to do, like whatever else. This is what it is. I keep the Keshe Foundation very open. I keep the Keshe Foundation extremely transparent, because that's the only way. I see the soul of the man, not the physicality of the man. Those who will write whatever, we know they are part of Illuminatis, because we have it. I'm going to send this out as a threat of the Illuminatis on Keshe Foundation. And if they've been so stupid, they thought they can threaten me to close and give them, and then they say, you see, he paid the ransom, we get more, and the rest. I sat and I laughed with the CIA officers 2 days ago in the embassy. They said, Mr. Keshe, do they think you're that weak? We haven't managed to bring you down, let alone this lot. I'm strong because I believe in freedom of the man and the peace. Don't be scared. If you receive next time a threat, you've seen it here, be stand enough, send it back to us, we handle it. You've seen the guy who made a lot of life threat to kill the children from Austria. We published his name and his telephone number, his address. He's disappeared. Now he works in the back with fluorescence. The biggest gift to us was given by the ones who damage us most. The one has explained how Hans Brackenier has structured to make me a terrorist, has become a laughing stock in the security services. I said to the Americans, now am I a terrorist, or you tell me it's here? They've written themselves. Who's made me a terrorist? King of Belgium. They still live was the olden days. Now is the internet, computers, people can read, people can share. I told you, those who go to harm us, they serve us. Anybody, even if they go to harm you, they serve you. You've seen what fluorescence has put on the internet in past year, but look at what is done 4 years before, 2 years ago, 3 years history of how they do it, because he used to be part of the process. You do not know how it's done till you are in it yourself, done it yourself. And they were building a pressure from internet. You saw suddenly 2 women appeared somewhere else, another third one. We told you that is Illuminati. Now you see how they come. They were pressurizing us on each direction that suddenly we disappear. But now it's on the table. I want to know how a man who terrorizes and kills has become the head of European Space Agency. This has to be answered in European Parliament. How can a man who has threatened to kill another scientist heads as the head of the space agency, where the other man is the head of a spaceship agency? These are a lot of questions we have to ask. I see 169 people, 99% have voted. We are not paying the ransom. I wasn't going to pay, but I needed a confirmation to know the people who are around me think the same as me. I love you, I adore you, the whole lot of you. If we have managed to put Illuminatis on the track to shake, that they spend so much time and money, we are correct. Or shall we celebrate our freedom from the hand of Illuminatis and Hans Brackenier?
Thank you, Mr. Cash. I think we should celebrate.
If there are no other close for today. But
Mr. Cash, this is Gatua.
Yes.
I want to thank you very much for that exposure and for your enlightening lesson earlier. Thank you very much. And I fully support you and Cash Foundation. Always.
Thank you very much. The process has to be correct, and I think this is the correct way to handle it. They have exposed themselves to be the Illuminatis and a strong power, Italian power source. So now we know if anything happens where it's come from. Thank you. We call it a day, and I hope we have broken through the ice of control of humanity. What it saddens me, why should be 500 million? They decide. We decide. 100 billion. We can take it. The universe is so big and we have the knowledge. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cash, and that'll be the end of the 71st Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, May 11th, 2017.
Can I say one thing, please, before you close?
Sure.
Is number 9171.
Ah, yes. I said that to Guy before the workshop, yes.
Mr. Cash.
Thank you indeed.
Thank you.
Let us build on it.
Okay, very good. So we'll end the live stream for today, and if anyone has any questions, we'll hold them over till okay, I'll end the live stream.